make sure it's working.
All right. Well, Peter lovingly does sound check. They helped raise me. She was my aunt, but she was something indescribable. I thank everybody for all these stories of her because it just shows to that indescribable quality of who she was and of how she served and how big that was. She truly was this game changer. That's the word that keeps coming up for me, is with all this inspiration that she's given everyone to be on stage and to live their life so fully and so present and so alive and so aware. That came from her example. And she just showed up in the biggest way an aunt could ever possibly have. I've had the privilege and the honor to help her in this past year of her life. And I'll tell the stories of the good times and the happy times shortly, but in this past difficult year, I have never seen someone show up the way that she showed up. And I mean that in the best of ways. She fought so hard on so many levels when so many doctors and appointments and one test result after another, to the next MRI, to the next hospital, to the next CT scan, to the next, and the next, and the next. It just went on and on and on for a year. And she just showed up for all of it in the most courageous way. She fought so deeply with all of her heart. And she inspires every one of us, I know, to show up for everything in their lives. For when the doctor says things that nobody wants to hear, she showed up and she said, "That's not me. I keep going. I put one foot in front of the other." And it's just who she was. It is what she inspired in so many people, in so many of her students. And in our family, she was the matriarch. I mean, the nickname Babe came from Babe because she was the youngest of four, and no offense to my mom or to my Uncle Bill or to the beloved Angie, but she was the strongest one by far. She was the one that you went to when you needed the advice that was difficult to hear. She didn't tell you what you wanted. Sometimes she told you what you wanted to hear, but for the most part, she told you what you needed to hear. She told you you went to her in the moments where you know in your heart and in your spirit that your game needed to be changed, and she changed it, she shifted it. She gave you that inspiration, whether it was a piece of advice, and she didn't tell you what to do, or she didn't tell you, you can do this, or you should do that. It wasn't like that at all. It's more of a, I'm not even going to say nudge, it was more of a kick. She talked it out with you. She found the ways in to you to unravel whatever it was, whatever problem it was, whatever issue it was, whatever decision you needed to make, or whether you just needed to vent. She was all of those things. She truly helped raise me. She was so far beyond an aunt. She was like a, when I think about this past year and having had, like I said, truly the privilege to spend so much time with her while she was battling like no one's business, sometimes people would ask me, like, well, she's your aunt and you're moving in with her while she's chemotherapy. It's like, well, yeah, she's not my aunt. She's they. There isn't a definition for who she was to me, to all of my cousins, to her students, to her nieces and nephews, who she loved us like her kids. We were her. She said it so many times, and there were so many just happy, joyful times in her life with the whole family around, because she was our matriarch. We had all the holidays at her house. We had she was the big house on Burling Street, so that was the place where we gathered, and there are just so many memories of her as the aunt, as the strong matriarch woman holding it together. Whether that was, always making sure everyone was okay, and making sure everything was in its place and everybody had what they needed. It was just who she was. It was part of her character to be, she was that director always who was in charge, but in a quiet quiet, dignified, humble sort of way. It wasn't like she was, you know, well, actually, no, sometimes she did get loud. There was that. But she was just so, she had such humility and such grace in the way she held it together for everyone. And she held it together for me so many times. Another one of her many gifts, I think, was connecting to teenagers. When they were at a really pivotal time in their life, it was certainly a really pivotal time in my life. I lived with her from when I was 14 until I went to college, so 17. And you know, she connected to you at a time when everything was shifting and everything was changing and you didn't know up from down and what the hell was anything. And she was that guiding light who, as my mother said, she showed you your own light. She had that gift of allowing, of inviting it in and encouraging it and cultivating it so that you became who you are. That you let it come in, you let it come up, and you pushed it forward. Because she was so present with you, she was so there for you, and at a time when, you know, like I said, you're a teenager, you didn't know up from down. So I have so much gratitude. I think that's her. Seriously. I know she's here. Probably. Is it?
I wish it was.
Yeah. I know I carry her here, and I know all of you too as well. And I know she's here. I really do, and I know she's smiling, and I know that she had the biggest heart, such love for her family, for her friends, for her students. I know, I feel like I know the students so well because she talked about you guys all the time. Some of her most fond memories and brightest days were teaching at Parker and directing, and when everyone sent cards and came to the hospital and did everything, she read those cards, she talked about the stories. All of you, everyone in this room, very much alive and present in her lives, and I know she was very grateful, and so am I. And also to the, one last thing, the Burling Street crew, Holly, Teresa, Melissa, who wasn't here, but she was a fixture on her street. One of my favorite memories of Bay, just so many, but when we would just walk down Burling together, you know, and before, kind of during the days before her walker, and we would just walk down Burling, and everybody knew her. Everybody, the whole block, from Wrightwood to Fullerton, everybody knew her. And not only did she know everybody, she knew everybody's dog. Truly, she knew everybody's dog. She knew their name. Sometimes she knew the dog, but couldn't remember the person's name, but she definitely knew the dog's name. And the dog always knew her. She was a lover of animals, and that was, it was such a big part of her, that the neighborhood and her openness to be a neighbor. She really was. She was that woman who would walk down the street, everybody knew her name, and it was just part of who she was. So I thank you to the Burling Street crew for being in her lives and showing up in the way that you did.
Nice.
So, okay, I guess I'm done here. Other than,
well done.
Thank you.